All right, now we can speak to Zeidon Alkinani, who's a researcher on identity politics in Iraq and the Middle East. Thank you very much for joining us. First of all, it'd be interesting just to work out exactly who is doing the protesting. It seems very much as though the anti-government protest movement has now split into two distinct groups.
Well, no, it's the same protesters that have been on the streets since October 2019. It's the same protesters that made it very clear since the early stages of the protest movement that they don't want any former or new faces of the ethnic sectarian quota, which includes Muqtada Sadr, whom had many ministries involved in many of the post-2003 Iraqi governments, which is also why he took a gradual step back from the protest movement, which allowed him to take an advantage of the post-Soleimani power vacuum, where Iran also had an opportunity to pick a significant cleric like him to do the proxy
right.
giving.
So is it fair to say then that the Sadrites, the Muqtada al-Sadr followers, are now anti-government protesters who have set up shop pretty much in Baghdad and in other cities in the south?
Of course, they are now under the umbrella of the Iranian proxy umbrella of power or influence of power in Iraq. This is due to the fact that, as we mentioned, that Muqtada Sadr did not receive the usual popularity he usually does in post-2003 Iraqi protests. Therefore, he took an opportunity to take an advantage of the previously mentioned power vacuum. Therefore, the Sadrist followers whom were involved logistically to support, or whatever they want to call it, in the Iraqi protest were only there for the personal interest or the political interest of Muqtada Sadr and not for the very same interest of the Iraqi protesters.
That's the point. My next question, obviously, then, is what is the ultimate objective of Muqtada al-Sadr and his followers?
The objective of Muqtada Sadr's followers is to maintain Muqtada Sadr's power and influence across Iraqi provinces within Iraqi domestic affairs, whether it means to be with the protesters or whether it means to be with the Iranian government. So to Muqtada Sadr and his followers, unfortunately, it's a balance of power between him and the other Shia Islamist parties in Iraq.
And Mohammed al-Lawi, the new Prime Minister designate, where does that leave him between a rock and a hard place, it would seem?
Well, it doesn't leave him anywhere different from where it left Adel Abdel Mahdi. Mohammed Tawfiq al-Lawi is a veteran of the ethnic sectarian quota regime, which the protesters have been protesting against. He was imposed, again, like his predecessors, on the Iraqi people, on the Iraqi protesters. The Iraqi protesters were very clear that they do not want any former member of the ethnic sectarian quota regime. He has been an MP for years. He was a minister twice. And that means as if they never replaced Adel Abdel Mahdi. It's a politician from the same political bloc, from the same political arena, from the same political economic elite.
Zeidon Alkinani, thank you very much indeed.
Pleasure.
Right, we're going to the US now because